Guys, Mikey here. Quick recap of Bitcoin US dollar price at the moment. As everyone knows, been in a fairly fairly bearish market for most of this year. So now we've kind of looking at a short-term bullish sentiment. Just want to sort of outline how, why, what's happening, that sort of thing. So of course, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin long term, but we have to adjust how we see the market, what's happening in the market, based on what price action is telling us. So, we can't always be bullish, we can't always be bearish. We need to adjust accordingly to be a trader. So, if we just drill down, I always drill down from the highest time frame possible. So, monthly time frame, obviously. As we get more data, things get better. Now this orange trend line here that I've got here, this has been in play since sort of March 2017, and we still haven't broken below that trend line even during this bearish market cycle. So we haven't closed below this this orange trend line on the monthly or the weekly. So this trend line for me is a very strong trend line. So as you can see here, we didn't close below this trend line during any of these weeks where we've actually hit our lowest point on Bitcoin, this year. So this trend line comes back into play. We've got a touch back here in November. We've got a good touch back here in May, and we've kind of started that trend line from back in March when we've started accelerating and taking off for new Bitcoin highs. So that trend line is extremely strong for me. So if we go into your daily and your 4 hourly sort of time frames, okay, the reason why we're bullish at the moment is so this is kind of what I drew a few weeks ago for my students, sort of how the market was reacting and that sort of thing. So we've got our bottoms in here at around 5750, 5800. Okay, that's our lowest point this year so far. And then from there, we've bounced back off there. We've got a double bottom off there. We've bounced back up to previous resistance levels here. Okay. As you can see here, we've had multiple touches there. We've bounced back down, touched 6K again. Okay. And from here, this price point here is now our higher low. Okay. So these aren't technically higher highs. This is a higher low though. Now from this price point here, we've actually accelerated massively at this point here past these resistance levels. Okay, so that's very good for the market in a bullish sentiment. Now, if there's no real signal for me down here to get long on this. Okay, guys, so I haven't been trading during this period around here. This to me is consolidation period between here. I'm not taking bounces between here and here or anything like that. Like, I'm not range trading it. This is just consolidation period for me. I'm not even in the market trading long or short at the moment. Still trading altcoins and things, but Bitcoin waiting for a pullback now to possibly get long in the market. Okay, so for me, there's no point in fear of missing out buying at the moment. The move has already happened. If you're going from 6K up to here, you have to always consider, guys, if people are buying around this period, okay, 6,000 to where price is now at almost 7,800, that's a 30% gain. A lot of people are going to be happy with 30% gain in this current market, and we may get a price retrace from here for people to start taking profits from people who have bought down here, because they might think, well, I've already made 20-30%. I'm happy with 20-30%. I'll take my profits and cash out and buy back in again when we get a retrace, which would obviously be smart. But for me, I didn't really get any signals down here to go long down here. Okay, so we've got a higher low. We want to wait for confirmation. We've got a higher low down here. This has now formed our higher highs. We've got a higher low again. Okay, so once we start getting higher highs, higher lows, we're moving into a bullish sentiment. Doesn't mean we're long-term bullish right now. It just means the market is telling us that we need to adjust accordingly and look for bullish signals. Okay, so for me to get back into the market, this orange trend line is my very long-term trend line. Okay, for me to get back into the market at the moment, I'm looking for a price retrace of around at least 50, 61.8 fib retrace. That comes into play with the previous resistance acting as support, comes into play with my very long-term trend line. We'll obviously check other indicators as well and see what's happening with price action. Now, the problem is at the moment, we've only got a pullback to the 23.6 fib. Now, in a bullish market, what a 23.6 fib retrace means is the market is heavily bullish. So if we only pull back to here, okay, if we only pull back to here and we push on forward, normally what you'll get is a fib extension, okay, and this is a fib extension up here. So if this price continues on and doesn't act as basically like a false breakout double top formation, okay, or if it doesn't act as a head and shoulder and we get a price retrace, okay, this price, for me, the next target is sort of, up around these price points here. And then again, we just adjust accordingly, check what's happening in the market, but there's no point in buying into the market right now. The market's already moved. You've missed the move if you're missing out in. The market's already moved to the price point. We want to wait for our pullbacks and signals to get long in the market. Or if we get a head and shoulder pattern here, there may be an opportunity to short the market back down to this price point here and then adjust accordingly from here. So, I always like to trade with the trend though. So for me, even if we got a head and shoulder here, it would have to be a pretty awesome setup for me to get short here. But I would happily, depending on what happens in the market around this price point here, I would happily possibly get long from here, depending on what's happening around here. So just a quick update, guys. Still out of the market at the moment, still on the sidelines. If you got any questions, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video. Chuck it up there. More than happy to answer any questions. So yeah, take it easy, guys. 23rd of July 2018. Let's see what happens. Still obviously long-term bullish, as I said at the start of the video. On cryptocurrencies as a whole, we're extremely early in the market. There's only about 0.5 to 1% of the population that own cryptocurrency in the world at the moment. So we're very early adopters in this stage. So congratulations to anyone who has cryptocurrency at this price point. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Have a good week, and happy trading.